Yeah, and let's get moving. We are on time.
We are live.
Are we live? Here we go. We are live.
Yeah.
Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our July edition of Working Wisely. I can't believe it. It's been already sixth one, and we are happy to be here with you again. My name is Roman, and I'm CEO of Workstreams.ai, and I'm accompanied today by Lucas, who is our software engineer, and we are here to give you some. We are live.
Yeah.
Great. Hello, everybody. And we are here to show you some latest news from the Workstreams.ai world. So, Lucas, would you like to say a couple of words in the beginning?
Yeah, hello from my side. Nice to be back, as usual, for the first Tuesday of the month. And I think we have pretty exciting news this time, as usual. So I would say let's start into it, or?
Okay, let's do it. Then I will maybe just disappear for a second and turn on my screen sharing. So, working wisely. Right. Today we took a similar format we had last time, but instead of doing examples and further case studies on our features, we will look at some conceptual level of what actually is the difference between a workflow and dashboard. But first things first, what's new? Then what is the difference between workflow and dashboard? Followed by coming soon section and Q&A. So in the first place, what's new? I'll be showing all the features, all the new features actually within the demo within a couple of minutes, but just a high-level overview. You all already know our task composer, which is a large task overview, as we call the card, which contains all the details about your tasks. We are bringing this view to be your default task composer when creating a new task. So it's actually not anymore the old way where you had a different view and less details. It's all unified. It works across all devices, and it should improve your user experience and delivery of the tasks in general. We have also promised the tasks auto-forwarding between taskboards, and I will show how to actually set it up on your own taskboards. And we also added option of creating the tasks from templates directly from work steps. On the improvement sides, we have a massive change on the file uploads within the private teams of Microsoft Teams. Until now, you're required to have an administrator within the given team to be actually able to upload the files on his behalf. We have changed it, and now we do not need an admin of the tenant in the given private team, and anybody can actually upload the files on their own. We have made a quite interesting improvements on the overall application performance and added small improvements on the task filter. Now, before we dive further in, Lucas, what is a workflow and what is a dashboard?
A workflow is the representation of a process in your company, which combines in the context of work streams, work steps of a task board, custom fields, task templates, and also selected labels. And additional to this, provides you an option to assign someone as an owner, so that this person or the group of persons, people have the ownership to do changes to the process itself, and create new flows of this. The taskbot itself is then basically the simple version of this with reduced feature sets, so you don't have specifically an ownership. And most of you already know this probably because it was the thing we started with in the first place. But for the future, we will definitely go further with the workflows and expanding on this, while we still want to support the taskbot, of course, for a quick and easy setup, which doesn't provide maybe the overhead in certain ways that workflows have for specific scenarios.
Thank you. It's a pretty great summary. I would add maybe just a couple of things on the top, which already said. Taskboard is where we started, and it's the simplest form of any task management coming back from the Kanban world, and we added it we added addition to it, which we call Kanban, because our task boards are unique in one special way. And that is that each of our task boards is connected to your communication channel, communication context, whether it's a Slack or Microsoft Teams. For each task board, there is communication channel to discuss anything which relates to that given work. That makes our task boards to be unique. Now, what differentiates workflows from task boards is what Lucas described, the additional level of ownership and the possible abstraction that one workflow can power multiple task boards. So in theory, I think that might be quite confusing. So let's have a look at how does this actually look like in the real world example. We will be doing a little bit of interactions with Lucas on our demo workspace. Please, that's me. I know it doesn't look like me, but it's Lagata. It's my favorite hero from Vikings. And we would like to start with the simplest task board, which can actually exist after you create a new task board. Why is it simplest? Because by default, it has only 3 work steps. It's planned, progress, and completed. This default setup can actually power majority of your processes, and it's the simplest form of getting things done. As simple as it is, this trio can really deliver a lot for you. Now, this was a great setup, and we learned out of this setup that you can deliver a lot of work with this simple process. When we talk about every task board being connected to a certain communication channel, let's have a look how that looks like. I create a task, and this task is automatically linked into in this case a Slack. So by clicking View Slack Discussion, I will be directed straight into the channel, which is called the same way as the task board, the simplest task board. And as you can see, I have a representation of that given task, which is in given work step in progress and has some permissions. Now, what are these permissions? Actually, as you can see, the permissions are set on the level of either of a task board level. And in this case, it means that I'm the work step owner. So this is the only level of ownership which we provide on the task board. And that is, you can assign people to given work steps as owners. These owners on the work step level are the solo people who can make changes on the configuration of the work step and on the tasks which are inside of that column. So just for illustration, now this is a great concept of simple and easy and flexible ownership. It caters for majority of the cases. What it doesn't cater for is for somebody making modifications to the whole task board in the whole, as the whole concept of our original task board was set up about transparency and small teams and empowering people with controls that anybody can make changes. It has a little pitfall, and that is that everybody is equal on any level at this stage, and anybody can make changes to the overall task board setup. So we have a custom fields, for example, so anybody can add custom fields, anybody can add new work steps. With the setting of the work step owner, nobody can change this progress column. So I would like to ask Lucas if he maybe could make some change on the overall setup, and let's see how that propagates to our application. So as you can see now, Lucas has added Ivan's approval. That is great because we are changing the board, and it was pre-agreed, obviously, and we wanted to have a board which is about approval. So I will have a Lagata's approval, and then we have Ivan's approval, and I will make actually Ivan to be work step owner of this step. Now we set up this way. Now we set up actually a simple two-step authorization approval process, which can be followed, and in a way nobody can make changes to these tasks. As you can see, I'm not allowed to make changes. Only Ivan or anybody else who is assigned can make changes. I can follow the task. It's great. Now I'm not allowed to make changes on this work step. I can still add additional columns. So as you can see, it actually is still not 100% bulletproof, and somebody else can make changes, which It's super flexible for anybody who is in the need of flexibility. It is somehow missing the solid structure for teams where you would want to make sure that things do not change, because you might be a manager and you want to be in charge and you want to make sure that things actually stay as they are. Now, we will jump to the workflows. Before we do that, I would like to quickly show what we were talking about when we said adding option of creating a task from a template from the column. You see this little icon for a task template. So this now appears on hover in any column. Before, it was only possible to actually click on add task, and this would show you the old school way of creating a task. This is our beta feature. If you are not part of beta, you might still see the old way. So please join our beta and you will get this beautiful view. And it's also possible to create a task directly from a template. So for example, if I want to make a one-time purchase, I can go for this template, quickly use that. And Lagata's approval is required now. As you can see, it's now currently is not actually assigned to anybody because we are missing auto assigning. This is a second feature which we wanted to show today, and that's the completely reworked work step settings view. In the past, the only way to access the work step settings would be through this model, and here we provided a single access to ownership and automation of assigning. As we are bringing more automation in, we are changing the way you can access it. It will be still possible through settings, but you will get way more flexibility by accessing the work step settings through the three dot menu. And within here, we have three tabs: properties, title, description, also option to choose whether you want to set the tasks to the bottom or to the top of the column, ownership, who actually owns the given column, and further automation, which applies to who should be actually automatically assigned, and possibility of choosing auto forwarding to different steps. We will get to that step a little bit later. Now, this task has been already created, so it doesn't get auto assigned, but if I do it again, we have a one-time purchase, and this will be pre-assigned directly to Lagata. Now, this is great, and it allows the flexibility we talk about. Everything can be slightly owned, but it's lacking that strong control which might be required when it comes to certain processes. So let's maybe have a look at a different example. Let's jump to our hiring board. Now let's imagine that we are hiring people in a company, and we started recently. We have processed some people, we hired some people, we had to reject some people, we established our process, and we would like to actually scale our hiring process into the whole company as a unified process, that every team A, team B, team C, is following the same process, and the HR is providing guidance on how to set up such a process and how to manage it. So this would be not possible without a workflow. Currently, you would be able to actually go and recreate this Taskbot multiple times, and eventually they would get off the sync and they would all look a little bit different. So for that, we can use the power of our workflows and jump to our workflow library. The workflow library, we showed it, we demoed it a couple of times, offers you two basic views. We curate a couple of basic workflows, and there is many more coming within the next coming weeks. We have a full set of HR workflows and a couple of more from different departments coming very soon. And you can also create your own custom workflows. What you want to do now is to create a custom workflow out of an existing Taskbot. This is super important, that we can preload the work step configuration from existing Taskbot. So let's look for the hiring board. Here we go. This way, I quickly imported all work steps from the hiring board. And now we are getting to the first point of why the workflow makes a lot of sense. By adding the title, standardized hiring process, I'm adding the first point of, okay, this is something which is standardized. This is something which is owned and which is a process. It's not really just a Taskbot, it's abstract level of a Taskbot. This is a process which can be realized multiple times with ownership. So I want to have Lagata, Ivan, and Bernd to be three people who actually own this process, and only these three people to be allowed to make any changes on the overall setup, and overall content inside of this workflow, and all active workflows like a taskboards realization out of it. You can give it a purpose to unify our way of hiring. And now we get to the details. You can add details for every single step of your process. Details come here and be as precise as your needs are. With adding these details, you actually document your process step by step. Meet the team can, for example, be, you can go step one might be meet HR, step two might be meet department team, and step three might be go for lunch, and step four might be night out. You can go as detailed as you want at any point. That's on the work step level. Now, when it comes to third stage is the complexity of additional information shared within this workflow. The first and most important things are task templates. So, for example, you might have existing task template for hiring a freelancer. You can add it easily this way. You can have you might have a different one for full-time hire. We have one. We have a couple of on-premises hires. Let's try this one. Simply selecting these two templates, I'm adding them to the available set of workflow taskboard templates, task templates, and they will be available in a specific unique view for easier access. Again, these templates can have a description, and you can be, again, as expressive as you need in your situation. Only freelancers, remote first, for example. Then this always appears after you save it, and everybody knows how to use this given task templates. That the same comes to custom fields. You can add a role, you can add expected salary, and you can add a department. If any of the custom fields is missing, just create one on fly. Pardon. Now, quickly just adding a couple of labels. Maybe just junior and senior. There we go. And save the custom workflow. Quick filter gives us access to our all workflows, and we didn't set the correct category, so maybe let me just edit it quickly. Categorization always helps when you have more workflows from the same topic. Here we go. And now we get to the second part of where workflows are actually very, very useful and powerful. Here you can see we can always edit, delete, but what is interesting is the button of use workflow. By using workflow, we create a realization of that workflow in the form of a task board. You remember in the beginning I said that every task board has a connection to a Slack channel. That applies to any active workflow as well. So we can say hiring for team A will set up a task board for us, but with that it also creates a channel called with the same name. And by default, it navigates us to the task template which we selected, and out of the box we can straight away start hiring freelancers. Bang! We have freelancer with a task template, with the custom fields which were included inside of the task template, this custom field, starting date and sparing body. But we also had a department and role and salary added from the workflow level. So this way you can easily combine the power of a task template and its custom fields with the power of the workflow custom fields. Subtasks can be then further linked to different completion work steps if your workflow is sequential, or left free if your workflow is more on the parallel side. Now, that would be okay. So I have a one task board. Where is the difference? Well, the difference starts from the point that I want to actually have the multiple versions of the same thing running in parallel for different audience. So we had a hiring team A, and then we have a, how do we call it, team B hiring. Here we go. Now we have the same process scaled to a second existence, and it's exactly the same process. Maybe I would like to ask one of our owners, maybe Lucas, or yeah, probably Lucas, who's in the call. Could you maybe make a change on the workflow level? How will this change propagate to our existing task boards? So maybe let's add a work step which would be dealing with a paperwork, because we have a meet the team, offer send. We are missing a paperwork. Let's add a paperwork into the workflow. Lucas is probably doing it. Okay, as we can see, the paperwork has been added into the workflow itself. And when I look for our realization of this standardized process, hiring for team A has a paperwork, and hiring for team B also has a paperwork. That's where the big difference is. Now we have a fully owned process with change propagation from abstract to concrete level, and it still follows the same concept of a taskboard connected to communication channel, because as soon as I add a pardon my voice, as soon as I add a new task from a template, for example, freelancer, I will always end up in the same way in the Slack discussion as before. Here we go. So that would be an example. What is the difference between the workflow and task template, workflow and taskbot? Now I will switch back to presentation, and I would like to ask Lucas if he could give us a quick summary of key points of workflow versus taskboards from what we just seen.
Sure, I will do it. Thanks, Roman. Yeah, we saw that the workflow is a repeatable process which can be used to create multiple instances or multiple task boards with the same structure. And it's basically the abstraction layer of these task boards. Inside the workflows itself, we can then offer a description for each work step, for each entity which we have added to the workflow. And we have a single point where we can actually customize and further update the workflow over time. This all is then, as we saw, connected to an ownership to one or multiple people, which have the full control of how the workflow will update in the future and are safe that no one else can interrupt or change it over the time. And itself, as we provide certain workflows from Workstreams side, but as soon as you created your own as well, it's a simple plug and play setup. So you have your workflow, you simply press one button, type in a name for the taskbot which is created, and then you can go ahead and work with it. The taskbot itself is more, the concept behind this is more for an ad hoc or simple and quick access to projects and to visualize what we need to do there. Suitable for teams with high level of transparency, because everyone can edit and customize workflow as they need it and as they proceed over time with certain or encounter certain difficulties. And it has, in comparison to the ownership, to the workflow, a low level of ownership, except of the work steps, which have the option to lock some tasks or the edit update option of tasks. But therefore, it has, of course, a high flexibility compared to workflows because it misses these ownership properties. That's basically it. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. And now back to you, Roman.
Thank you, Lucas. Great summary. So now we are entering the third part of our working wisely session. That's a Q&A. We have a couple of questions prepared. Please, if you are watching live on our YouTube channel, please feel free to ask any further questions during this live session. We will answer them at the end. If you have any further question and you are watching from the recording, feel free to drop us a line on feedback@Workstreams.ai or join our community, and we can have a look at your questions. So, audience question number 1. Do you plan to offer Workstreams.ai as a standalone application without a dependency on Slack or Microsoft Teams? So this is a question which we receive every now and then from organizations which are using the different communication platforms which are not really in our support list at this moment. And we have a couple of prerequisites for this to happen. And we are working towards achieving the first version of a Workstreams.ai standing alone in a little bit different way than the classic applications, probably within the next couple of months. So the internal aim is somewhere Q3, and if you would like to be part of this new thing, please drop us a line, and we would like to include you in our pilot program. Question number 2, do you plan to introduce more integrations for developers or sales? For example, GitHub and Salesforce. That's very interesting questions. Developers or sales? So who do you choose, right? Developers or sales? It's hard to choose, and therefore we actually think about having the little bit wider list of integrations than just the GitHub and Salesforce. It's also in the pipeline, probably a little bit further behind the idea of the standalone application, but hopefully we will have a couple of more integrations coming still within this year. Please stay tuned. Question number 3, is it possible to add external integration hooks into my workflows? Right, so that's a follow-up of the previous question, and yes, in some way it is possible to add an external webhook in general, and we have it in our private alpha testing tier right now. If you are interested in prototyping a little bit more on how this could fit into your workflows, please get in touch with us, and we can have a look at it together. In general, we have an API and a webhook concept which can notify you on any change. So if you have a little bit of nerdy details under your skin, and you are able to receive our payload, then you'll be able to take any change and process it further and do whatever you would like to do with it. Again, please ping us on any of our channels, and we can take it further. Now, before we get to the live Q&A, I would like to just reiterate on what we are working on right now, and what will that actually bring us towards to. So step number 1, connected workflows. For that, I will quickly just jump back to our setup. So when we were talking about having a workflow and having a task board, there is one thing which is possible already on the task board level, and that is to set up auto forwarding of the tasks. I've shown it a couple of times, I think, already in the past on the example of the purchasing. Now, in the example of hiring, we have a new UI which we actually built for the further scaling of the automation tab, and this UI allows you to choose where do you want to send a task when it lands in a given column. So we are in the column hired, and what we would like to do here, we would like to say that any candidate which lands in the hired column should be automatically transferred to our onboarding. And we have we are in the team B hiring, so we want to go for team B employee onboarding, and that should go to new hires work step. So by setting this, we get this notification that all tasks will be forwarded to employee onboarding team B, and all we need to do is make sure we drop a task in this column, and the task should eventually leave. It just did, and it will end up in employee onboarding team B. So this is a concept which we had around for a while. We were missing the user interface for it. Now we have the user interface, and what we want to do with this is we want to take it to the next stage, and that is to say on the level of the workflow. Now here I have this work step, and I would like to make sure that this ends up in workflow of onboarding. This has certain complexity on setup when I'm actually going to create the workflow into realization to which you actually want to move it. But bear with us, we are working on it, and hopefully we'll have something to show you very soon. So that's the connected workflows. Task templates during workflow creation. I think we talked about it a little bit last time. There's a little bit of hurdle when you are setting up your own workflows and you have not created the task templates. We will not create the task templates yet. It's a little bit tricky to get it in. So we are providing you with a new way how to set up the task templates from scratch within your first workflows experience. Notifications controls. Quite often we hear that our notifications are a little bit too noisy, and we believe we found a way how to provide further control over how much you want to be notified about what content. So stay tuned. This change is coming probably within July. Calendar integration for task boards. This is currently in alpha and heading to a beta tier probably within a couple of weeks. This has been requested quite often, and if you have your calendar integration for my tasks, this will work very similar way, but on a shared team level that you will be able to see one given task board in a one calendar, potentially multiple task boards into one calendar too. That's it. Lucas, now maybe it's probably, not maybe, but probably it's the time for the audience questions. Do we have anything in the live stream?
Yeah, we have a couple of them. So the first one of them, I think we answered already, and that was about what is coming next or what is coming soon. So basically, yeah, we will iterate over the workflows and have a couple of other features we just, or Roman just mentioned, which we are currently working on, and we hope to deliver within the next months or a couple of months, depending on what feature we're exactly speaking of. Then one other question is on, yeah, if we are planning to have further data imports from other task management apps. I don't know if the person specifically knows about our Trello integration, but we offer to synchronize the tasks with the Trello board so that you can basically import or easily import the tasks from your Trello board to one specific channel or one specific task board within Workstreams. Don't know if, yeah, I just don't know. I don't think. Can we show something there? Yeah, there, right?
This is possible. It's a very good point. So if you can do this, if you have a brand new task board where there is actually, let's call it new Trello import. When you have a task board which doesn't have any configuration on the work steps level, then you can import your existing Trello board, and that will bring it with all your tasks, labels, everything you have there. If you have even people matching on email addresses and names with your Slack channel, it will also match the assignees and just basically port it together. It's a one-way sync. We also have a two-way synchronization if you are on the, I would say, on the adventure path, because the two-way synchronization always can lead to unexpected behaviors. If you would like to have one, please get in touch with us. We can turn it on for you. So that's option with the sync with Trello, exactly.
Yeah.
And for the Lucas, regarding the other apps, what is in the pipeline?
So yeah, I think it comes down to one of the questions we had before. In general, we plan more integrations in the future. It always depends on what exactly is most asked for. So if you have any feedback for this, that's definitely something we will be interested to hear about, especially because this is one thing which is also will become more important on the workflow level, as we want to make sure that they are, yeah, basically deeply integrated into your existing workflows. So be it, I don't know, Salesforce or GitHub or whatever you're thinking of, can be used as something to import data, or later on at the end having certain actions coming out at the end of the workflow within within Workstreams. Yeah, you have anything to add to this, Roman?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
What are the next questions?
So the next question would be how we can identify tasks that are overdue or urgent. I don't know. We of course prepared nothing on this, but maybe I can. Or how is your my task?
So again, I will do a quick warning. This is a demo account which sometimes I use and sometimes I have a gap of not using it. And overdue tasks. So the ideal way of seeing overdue tasks might be within the My Tasks view. As you can see, I have some tasks which are overdue. These will always come up in the overdue section of My Tasks. Now, if I follow some tasks, the same will apply here. Whatever I follow has its own category of follow tasks, and I can quickly see what actually is overdue. Now, if I want to see what is overdue and somebody else is working on it, so let's say I want to see what is Ivan working on and what is his status, I can see that Ivan also has quite a list of topics which are a little bit overdue. So that comes from the point that you would like to actually see content which is overdue from a single perspective. Now, on the Taskbot level, if let's have a look at this event management. So if I go to event management Taskbot, which is here, I can see that there are topics which are somehow overdue. There is a filter which allows me to search by due date, and there is a filter for overdue tasks. So this would be on the Taskbot level. Any task which is overdue will be part of it. So this is how to show overdue tasks. Now, how do you do the urgent or important tasks? Now, that's another great thing I would say about the Kanban. Anything which is urgent or high priority can be put higher in the priority list. And ideally, it's about internal understanding that whatever is on the highest priority on the top should be processed first. Not everybody works the same way. What we can suggest is to add a label which would express that. So you can have a label which is urgent. We have urgent and not urgent. I also see quite often most important. And now we have an urgent task, which we can all again filter for. So I can go for label, which is urgent. And then I get view only of the urgent tasks. And I can also select multiple task boards at any point and see tasks which are urgent. As you can see now, I don't see any other which was urgent. So first validation, and maybe add another label which is about urgent. Okay. And we do the same, then the same filter on for urgent. And this way I can again have a view of multiple task boards and looking only at the urgent tasks. This is one way, or let's say this is the second way how to look at the urgent topics or overdue topics. However, we are looking at a third possible way, which would be highlighting certain tasks as specifically urgent or super important, or you call it as burning, whatever. And that would allow you to pick probably a limited amount of tasks and mark them with this specific marker. We are still looking on the UX side on how to make it look that it would be actually right in your face, and there would be no way to miss that. Then there are some experimental ways internally, which I'm not really allowed to talk about yet, but we are looking into this, and hopefully we will have a couple of options for you very soon. Okay. Are there any more questions, Lucas?
Yes, one follow-up on the coming soon. What are the expectations someone can have on the calendar integration on Taskbots? So yeah, basically it's similar. Oh yeah, you want to about it because I
feel free. If you want to answer it, feel free to
okay,
answer.
let's see if my my knowledge is sufficient there. So basically, you have a calendar which is connected to someone in your team, or you can freely choose, and you can set this up for on every task board separately. So what this means, as soon as you connect the Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar to one task board, everything with which has a due date on this taskboard will end up in your calendar. And then you can use the features in your calendar itself to display it accordingly, be it like an event or something, or not. We simply put there an event label in there, and you can see it every time on Monday when you open your calendar in the morning. You see what needs to be done and when. And the similar approach we have, of course, for the personal tasks, or not personal, for the tasks you are assigned to. This is just basically the same principle as the existing calendar integration, just not based on who is assigned, but on the taskboard. Is that so far correct? Good.
Yep, I would just maybe add one thing that at this stage we are looking at one-way synchronization. So please, if you would expect that the changes done on the calendar side would propagate back to Workstreams, eventually maybe yes, but not in the first iteration.
Okay. Yeah, and then we have one quite exciting one. There's someone really excited about our dark mode, which is still in beta, and yeah, it was asked when it finally gets out of beta. I don't know. Maybe we can ask our UX people to look into it again. I think there are still some color schemes which not perfectly work out as intended. Do we have anything there? I don't know actually.
I think that it's great that there is interest. That just shows that we need to find a space to squeeze those last changes on the palettes in and make sure that we ship it. I think that I like the dark mode. It's great to provide option between light and dark.
Yeah.
So hopefully it will come soon.
Exactly. That's so far. Let me quickly double check. I didn't miss anything, but I think so far that's it.
If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach to us at any of our communication channels, and we would be happy to either jump on a call or take it on the Slack Connect or over email, whatever is your preferred way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it.
Thank you, everybody.
Dark mode gets an upvote, so that's something we need to look into.
I wish everybody a nice summer and enjoy hopefully the beautiful weather you have, and speak to you in 1 month roughly.
Yeah.
Bye.
Ciao.